Hi, today I'm going to show you how to send nested data from a CSV file to any app or API that takes that kind of nested data. So let's say we have the situation where we get this report every day of sales in a store, like a physical store instead of our web store, and we want to import this into something like some order system or something. And you see here, this order has many things this person bought. They bought a coffee maker, they bought some peanuts. In this order, they just bought one thing. And so for this order, we want to send one API call with 5 items in it. And for this one, we want to send one API call with one item. So we want to group this spreadsheet by order ID, by the order ID column. So how do we do that? It's pretty quick in EasyCSV. You have to be on the business plan and above. Feel free to test it out. It doesn't work out, we give easy refunds. So what we first need to do is have a CSV version of the file we want. So if it's a Google Sheet or XLSX, make sure you turn it into a CSV. So we'll download that CSV. And this is just for setup. You can automate with an XLSX or a Google Sheet. So you'll go into EasyCSV, you'll make a new import page, which will make a new import flow. We'll drag the file here. Just call this nested import. You'll see it has all the columns from the file. If there's any columns you don't care about, you can uncheck them. If it's a huge file with many rows, many columns, you might want to uncheck some columns, especially if you don't care about them. But if you care about them, leave them. So go next. We're going to choose our destination as any app or API. Cool. And now we have an import page. We can drag files here. If we want to do it manually, we can email files as attachments and it'll automatically import eventually. We can use the scheduled fetcher to grab the file from FTP or Google Drive or Dropbox or wherever on the schedule we want. So that's how you can automate. We'll go to the import flow, and this is kind of showing, this top area is how to get EasyCSV the file, which we just kind of talked through. The middle is those columns that you've told EasyCSV to care about. You can filter out bad data, so you can say like, if the column action is refund instead of purchase, you can say don't import those rows. So you can clean up your file if you want. Or if there's like a total row, you can get rid of the row that's like the total sales for the day or something. Virtual fields are, check our docs. There are ways to make new fields or massage fields. So if you need to like combine fields into one for your system you're sending it to, you can do that with virtual fields. And the bottom is the destination. So in this case, we want to send the data somewhere. So, depending on the API you want to send to, you'll get a URL. So you'll click specify the URL to post. So we're going to do this. We're going to do a post request. I'm going to leave it as JSON. Cool. So we'll save that. This is just a test endpoint I have. You'll probably get your API endpoint, like, your system you're going to /order/create or something. So click save, go back in the import flow. And down here, you can put in your request headers. A lot of APIs will require you to put in a bearer token. So you'll put in authorization, bearer, whatever your fake token is. However you need to authenticate to that API, you can put in here. And then this is where it gets interesting. So you'll click on Customize JSON to post. Most APIs need you to structure the data in some way to send it over, right? So, without nesting the orders together, we can just, send over this data. Like, let's say we want to, let's say the API takes some JSON like this. Let's get rid of this. Right, so let's say the API takes orders like this, where the name of that event for the API's event, like whatever API you're going to will have a way to structure this data. And so, these are key value pairs. You don't need the money symbol usually. You just do event. But to use the values from the CSV you're importing, you copy this syntax over here, right? So you see order ID is put under the order ID thing over here. So that'll get the order ID from each row. So right now, if you did an import as is, each row would make an API call, which we don't really want. We don't want, 5 API calls here. We want one, right? We only want one API call here because there's only one item in that. So let's save this. Cool. Now to group, we go back to columns. We say, what column do we want to group the file by? And we want to group it by order ID. So we click edit. If you're on the business plan, you'll see this option. If you're not on the business plan, you won't see this option. So that's a gotcha. So say use column to group multiple lines together. And then we can use that to make a nested data structure. So then it says it's grouping rows by order ID. Go back to the import flow. It'll show you it's grouping rows after these three things. So you can filter before, you can make virtual fields before, and then it'll group. Then if you go back to customize JSON, you'll see there's a new area down here, and that's to specify the JSON for each row, so each item. So in our case, maybe we want, for each item purchased here in this example, like there's all these columns about just these items, like the item subtotal, the quantity, the name of the item, the brand of the item. And so we want to put all that stuff under the item. And to put it back up in here, we'll say, okay, maybe this API makes you call them items, right? Maybe they make you call them line items. The APIs will be different. And for the value, you're just going to copy this syntax we have here. And what that's going to do is at posting time, this will be replaced with an array of these things, right? So for each row of the file, you'll get one of these, and it'll be put into an array into this line items value, right? So in this case, you're going to get an array of, 5 things. And this one, you're just going to get an array of one thing with this value. So we'll save that, and you're all set. So now you can do imports on your import page. You can set up your scheduled fetcher, or you can just email the files in. If you have any issues, please reach out to EasyCSV chat. We always get back to everybody. If we don't get back right away, you can also email support. Thanks.